What? Are you kidding? Are you pulling my leg till my ears don't work? Let me get this straight so I can laugh till I get old and die. You want me to work for minimum wage? Right? And let me guess, you get the rest of the money? Say maximum wage? Oh, do I get to wear a paper hat too? Minimum wage, maybe I missed something, but I thought Abraham Lincoln had freed the slaves.
Yes, this is a very old skit from Kids in the Hall that came around in the late 80s. This comedy troupe started in the late 80s. That's my generation, right? So this idea of minimum wage being a bad idea has been around for a long time. Now, we'll get into deconstructing narcissism, how he says Gen Z has the balls to do what millennials and Gen X have always wanted to do. Let's hear some of this.
The thing I admire about Gen Z and the thing that I applaud Gen Z for is the fact that, you know, people can say all they want about Gen Z. Yes, there are a lot of stupid Gen Z people. Just like in any generation, there are a lot of stupid millennials, there are a lot of stupid baby boomers. There are a lot of lazy Gen Z people that just don't flat out refuse to work at all.
What does it matter that there's lazy people? Dude, we're all lazy. I'm lazy, you're lazy. The hardworking man is lazy because you take away his paycheck, he stops working. People retire. Why do we retire? Because we don't want to work anymore. So there's no point of anyone calling other people lazy. You of all people should know this by now. Okay? Now, before I let you go on, I want to point out this. Cinderella. What's the story of Cinderella about? People might think that it's a romance story, but it isn't. This story is a woman's desire to get away from the labor market, right? It's a fantasy where the woman says, I don't have to work anymore. You don't know why? Because take a look at the prince. What kind of personality does the prince have? What do we know about him? What's his favorite color? What is his motivations? Nothing. He's not even a human being. The prince is simply the prince. He is a walking symbol of status. And so when Cinderella gets with him, he's simply a stepping stone where she goes from a life of hard labor and impoverishment into one of luxury and ease. So that's what the story of Cinderella. And how old is Grimm's fairy tales? Hundreds of years old, right? So this desire is not new, for sure.
And I understand that, you know, a lot of them do lack motivation. But you know what they don't lack? They don't lack balls. See, the millennials, our generation and Generation X, we lack the balls. We lack the balls to tell these employers that enough is enough.
I disagree. It's not that Gen Z is braver. It's just that they've reached a tipping point. They lack peer pressure. First of all, I want to point out, okay, the French Revolution. Are you suggesting that when the French Revolution came along, all the generations of men before then, men and women, didn't have the balls to start the revolution? No. The environment got so bad that they finally had to do something. That's not the same as being brave, right? And I have to say, deconstructing, again, it's about a lack of peer pressure. You know what you're like as a guy. If you and I think we have a chance to make it in this world, we'll call the other guy lazy. We'll keep our nose to the grindstone and call the other guy who opts out lazy, right? But what's happened is that instead of, 9 out of 10 guys grinding away, 9 out of 10 guys now are reaching the wall and saying, I can't go any further. So they're sharing stories with one another and supporting one another. Instead of calling each other lazy, they're saying, yeah, what's the point of doing this? So it's not that they're braver. They simply are all in the same boat. It's kind of like why fat shaming came around, right? When there was one fat girl in the classroom, she had to withstand all the barbs from the other girls. But when 50% of the female population are fatsos or overweight, then they don't have to put up with that anymore, right? So it's that kind of idea. So you're wrong about that. It's not that they're braver. It's just that they're in collectively in the same boat. That's what's happened there. Okay.
Yeah, the economy is screwed.
I mean, you just supported me right there. The economy is screwed, right? So is Gen Z braver than us, or are they just in a bad economy now that they can't go any further?
Economy is completely foobar right now. I mean, you have the price is so goddamn high. People cannot afford to eat. I go into Walmart and I see empty food on the shelf.
Exactly. Just sorry, deconstructing. I really love your videos and your stuff. I'm just pointing out it's the same as the French Revolution, right? Why did they behead Marie Antoinette? Because the noblemen let the economy get so bad that everybody was hungry. It wasn't just one bum in the street. Everybody was poor. There was no chance of growth, right? So guys are willing to see homeless men in the street as long as they say, well, that's not me, and I've got a chance. So screw that homeless man. And now everyone's homeless, right? So the revolution can continue or start, I should say.
Gen Z knows that these jobs don't pay anything. Gen Z knows that the money doesn't buy anything. That's why they're telling these employers, they're going up to these employers, they're telling them to screw off, to screw you. I'm not going to work for these shitty wages, because why should I? It's not going to buy me a house. It's not going to allow me to pay rent. It's not going to allow me to have a family. It's not going to buy me a new car. Even a used.
By the way, deconstructing, the only thing that you mentioned there that's important is rent. The other things are luxuries. Like you're driving your own car. You know what it costs to maintain a car, right? Now, where I live, a lot of people are on foot, right? We're lucky if we have a vehicle. But the other thing is, a house is what? To attract a woman. And your Tom families, you're wrong. It's the wife that's expensive, not the children. There are all kinds of people, like children, who live in poverty. So families can get by in poverty. The children are cheap. If you're a single father and you have children, you can feed them very cheaply. You can feed them very cheap food. You can give them the minimum clothing. They're all right. It's the wife that says, our children have to have straight teeth, so we need thousands of dollars of dental care. If you're a single father trying to get by and you have children, you just say, okay, they'll have crooked teeth until they're old enough to pay for it themselves. The house is for the wife too, right? Small children, they'll live in a small apartment and crowd in, So this is something you're forgetting too. All this money is about status gain as well to get the girl. That's the other thing you're missing out on. Now, a lot of the problems we deal with in the Western world is a lack of solidarity with one another. I mean, listen to this.
Nobody wants to hire somebody that they have to train. They want a jack of all trades that they can pay, like Millennials team says, they want a jack of all trades that they can pay for the lowest bidder.
Exactly. There is no investment in society, right? I mean, think about how China has improved the living wage for people, right? For their people over there, because the attitude of the people in charge is to invest in their people. And the attitude over here in the West is every man for himself. See? And so it's destructive, right?
The lowest wage possible. Winner, it's who's the, what is, how does that one saying goes?
I don't know. But let's get about ahead of that.
And Gen Z is not having that. They are not going to work for something where they are not going to work for a job where they have no future. They're not going to work for minimum wage because there's no future in minimum wage. You can't buy anything with minimum wage. You can't further your education with minimum wage. You can't get a car with minimum wage. You can't rent with minimum wage. You can't even buy food with minimum wage. You cannot afford anything on these crap jobs that these employers want people to take. Yet we still have people, even my comment section, Millennial Steam's comment, other people's comment section saying, if you don't like it, well, then get another job, go back to school, study.
Exactly. It's, I got mine, you get yours, right? And that's why things have perpetually gotten worse. It's not just the powers that be. We're to blame. You and I deconstructing. The average guy is to blame for this because we show no solidarity with one another. We don't look at society as something that we're a part of, and we want the society to, for society to do well, the guy next to me has to do well. Right? And again, that's why in China, things have improved. Right? And here, things are just perpetually getting worse.
This or that. You cannot do these things if you are making a minimum wage, if you can barely afford the food that you are trying to buy from the store. If, let's say hypothetically, these jobs offered enough money for you to allow, the reason why these jobs don't offer enough money to allow you to do the things that you need to do to further your skills and further your how should I say this? Further your skills and allow you to make more money, is because these employers don't want you to. It's plain and simple. These employers are here to get the most amount of labor out of you for the lowest price. And the economy is set up this way. This is the way the system is. The system is designed this way intentionally.
Exactly. It's because they don't believe investing in people.
Because if we had a bunch of winners, if everybody could be a winner, then we wouldn't have so many losers in our society. We have to have a bunch of losers in our society.
I disagree with that though. Because you agreed, was it that way for the boomers? No, there was a bunch of winners in the boomers. And society worked very well. So deconstructing, you were wrong about that. You were historically wrong about that.
We have to have a bunch of low-level working proles, as Millennial Steam says. I love his channel, proles, low-level grunts, doing the dirty work for the rich, so the rich can get richer and we can get poorer.
Well, for the greed to, greedy people, it has to be that way. But again, look how good society was in the boomers' days, right? And their society worked perfectly well. So you're wrong. And also, again, China's the lifestyle for the average Chinese citizen is improving instead of getting worse. So it's really about the attitude. Yes, there does have to be winners and losers, and there does have to be people making less money for other people to make more money. But at the same time, you're wrong about people having to be in this situation of poverty. It doesn't have to be that way. The people in charge make it so. And again, we're to blame because since we don't, as a group, ourselves individually think, okay, we want to invest in other people and other people to do well, and we have to, work with government to make sure the corruption doesn't get bad. keep as much corruption out of government as we can. Since we don't do that, the narcissist and the psychopaths who don't have anything else to live for in their lives work their way to the top. And then they start destroying society because they're the antithesis of investing in other people, right? So it's not just that Gen Z has to say no to this. They actually have to start dealing with government and saying, we want to get rid of these guys in charge and replace them with people that have more integrity, right? So, I mean, there's that, right? I mean, you were even guilty of calling other guys lazy. Why would you do that when you yourself aren't interested in working together with other guys to improve this situation, right? And we've got to own our laziness, right? Okay. Anyway, we'll end it here.